Okra and shrimp stew is a classic low country dish. And Morgan's here to tell us more.
Yeah, Julia, so this is brought to us by Amethyst Ganaway, who's a recipe developer from North Charleston, South Carolina, the low country.
Yep.
And she actually learned this recipe from her grandmother, which makes me so happy because I think grandmothers are the best cooks.
I agree.
And her grandmother would start with a smoked ham hock. So she would make a ham hock broth. Here I have a pound of smoked ham hocks. I'm gonna add to 4 quarts of water. It's a really simple broth.
Yeah.
So I'm also gonna add 1 onion that I'm gonna quarter through the root end.
And that's just to make it easier to fish out later.
Exactly. So I'm gonna cut it into 4 pieces, keep that root end intact. Easy in, easy out. And then I also have a bay leaf, just a little extra flavor. I'm gonna bring it to a boil over high heat. We're boiling. I'm gonna reduce this to medium-low and put the lid on slightly ajar. This way it'll evaporate a little bit, concentrate those flavors a little bit, but you still have a good amount of control. So I'm just gonna let this simmer until that ham hock is nice and tender, which will take about 3 hours. Okay, it's been 3 hours, and you can start to smell it.
You really can smell it.
Hello. Ooh. This is like liquid gold in cooking. It's smoky, it's porky, it's rich. It's like a backbone to so many soups and stews. I'm gonna just go ahead and discard this onion and bay leaf. They have already done all the work they're gonna do. I mean, I would be happy to drink this plain. It's like an elixir, I think. But you also can use it for collards. You could use it for Hoppin' John. You can cook like green beans in it. It just has so much flavor going on. So I'm gonna put these ham hocks here to cool. I am gonna use those later. Now I'm gonna measure out some of this broth. I wanna make sure I have 8 cups to start with, and that's just to make sure I have the right stew texture at the end.
On the nose.
Nice. If you have extra, you can just save it, use it for all sorts of stuff. Too little, you can just add water. Totally fine. Now I'm gonna use the same pot to start the base of the stew. So I have a tablespoon of veg oil. I'm just gonna heat this over medium-high heat. And the only thing better than a smoked pork broth is more smoked pork. So here I have 12 ounces of andouille sausage.
I want to say that is the most beautiful piece of andouille I have ever seen.
Yeah, this is a specialty brand, and so this is actually a little thicker than a lot of andouille you buy. I'm gonna cut it in half lengthwise. If you have something that's a little thinner, you don't need to go through that. I'm gonna cut this into 1/4-inch thick pieces. Just go down with my knife. Andouille is actually already cooked, but I am gonna brown it just because then it helps render out some of this fat. You can see how there's a lot of nice fat in this.
Yeah.
And it's gonna add some nice extra richness to the stew, a little roasty flavor. I'm gonna actually turn it cut side down, and I want both sides to get nice and browned. You just arrange them. It's like pork jigsaw over here.
That's a good smell.
I'm just gonna let this go until it's lightly brown on both sides, which will take about 5 minutes total. So it's been about 5 minutes, and you can see how nice and brown these are.
And it left a nice fond in the bottom of the pot.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of pork fat in there. I'm gonna turn this off just so they don't overcook at all, and then we can build the rest of our stew.
Okay.
Of course, you can't have okra and shrimp stew without okra.
Nice, and I'm glad to see you have fresh okra here.
This recipe does actually work well with frozen or fresh, but when I get fresh, I like to use it. So to prep okra, I just cut off the top and then the bottom. And then I cut this into 1/2-inch pieces.
And that's what it looks like when it comes frozen, too.
Yeah, often when it comes frozen, you don't have to do any prep on it.
Now, okra is the edible seed pod from a plant in the mallow family. And as Morgan said, you can find it fresh or frozen, but if you're buying it fresh, which I recommend, look for pods that are 3 inches or smaller, because if they're much larger than that, the okra tends to be a little tough.
Yeah, I feel like okra sort of gets a bad rep. It's such a bummer to me because it has so much good potential. Like, it has a pretty mild flavor, but I think people think of it as slimy, and it can be a little slimy sometimes, but what it really can do in something like this is it thickens the stew, so it adds this really nice body and creaminess to it.
So how much okra is in this stew?
This is a pound of okra before prepping. So now I have my ham hocks from earlier. A lot of people aren't too familiar with ham hocks. I grew up with them in the South, so I love them. There's a little bit of edible meat in here. So this part is not, that's very gelatinous. It has nice smoke flavor, so it's great for broths. But this little pink meat in here is
Oh, so good. It's like the best tasting ham you've ever had.
Exactly, it's so salty, smoky. It's kind of like barbecue, but it's a little more like deep and dark.
It actually never makes it into my recipes because those just become little nibbles for the person cooking.
They're like chef snacks, but it's worth scavenging these to get all you can. This, I'm just gonna chop up. Honestly, you could shred this. It's so tender at this point after that 3-hour cook.
Aw, such a little pile of ham hock meat.
I know, but it's so delicious. It's worth it. Sometimes you can see them if they have a big pocket of pink meat. Those are the ones you want to look for. But sometimes you just get these and you still got all that delicious broth from this. So.
That's right.
So I'm going to put this back over heat, medium high, and I'm going to add this broth from earlier. And then my pound of okra. I'm just adding everything in and then letting it simmer and let time do the work.
Okay.
And then I have my little bit of meat. Here I have 1.5 cups of baby lima beans. You don't want the big ones. They can be a little starchy. You don't want full-size adult lima beans. These are also called butter beans.
Yeah.
So I'm going to add these right in. You can see they're still frozen. Just letting them simmer. They become a little more creamy this way. I also have a can of diced tomatoes. This is just a standard 14.5-ounce can.
I love how easy this is.
Yeah. 2 teaspoons of table salt. We didn't add any salt to the broth earlier because the ham hocks have a good amount of salt. I have a teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of onion powder, and then I also have a double dose of garlic. So I've got 4 minced garlic cloves that give it a little bit more of a fresh bite, and a teaspoon of granulated garlic.
Ooh, I love the 1-2 punch of garlic. I actually learned this trick just a few years ago, and now it's a standard in my household to use fresh and powder.
It's like a pro tip. And then a 1/2 teaspoon of paprika. I'm just gonna stir everything together. It's over high heat right now. Once it comes to a boil, I'm just gonna reduce it to medium and let it simmer until it's a stew-like consistency, which will take about an hour.
Okay.
So you can see it definitely looks different.
It smells delicious.
Yeah, so it smells nice and smoky, and you can see how it's definitely thickened a good amount. The okra's done its job.
Yeah, but I like how the sauce straddles that line between soup and stew. So it's a brothy stew.
Yes. I'm gonna turn this down to low, let that go just a few more minutes. And of course, you can't have okra and shrimp stew without shrimp.
Finally.
Finally, the shrimp. So I have a pound of 2630 shrimp. Ultimately, I want them to be about the same size as the butter beans or the okra, so everything sits on your spoon nicely.
Makes sense.
So I'm just gonna cut them into thirds. Very simple.
These have already been peeled and deveined.
Already peeled and deveined, making prep work easy. So this is already over low heat. I'm just gonna add in my shrimp and let them cook nice and gently. You don't wanna overcook them.
All right, just stir them in.
Yes,
They're
please.
submerged.
So I'm just gonna cook this 3 minutes until the shrimp are just opaque. So you can see the shrimp are cooked through. They're just opaque.
That looks delicious. Now we're gonna serve it over rice so that
Yeah.
sauce has something to dig into.
Yes, so here you go. Oh, look, I got you a little bit of ham hock.
Oh, good looking out.
A little gold, okay.
Put a little more sauce, a little more liquid.
Yeah, let's get you a little more of this delicious broth.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that smells amazing, Morgan.
Yeah, I love the smell of this. It makes your whole kitchen smell delicious.
Makes the whole neighborhood smell delicious.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing where people outside of your house know you're cooking something good.
Oh yeah, I know. This is how you win over neighbors and friends. Before you dig in, Amethyst said she would serve it with hot sauce to cut through some of the richness. So I have hot sauce for us.
All right. I'm a big hot sauce fan.
I went for the broth first, so mine's like smoky, porky, rich. But there's so much more going on than just that. You get the shrimp and the vegetables.
And the okra really has a silky texture, and it thickened that broth nicely. That broth, it was so simple. There's not many ingredients, but it has such a depth of flavor.
Exactly, and then the okra just does its magic to it. It like becomes so creamy and rich, and it, like you said, it hovers that texture between a soup and a stew.
And I agree with Amethyst that a little bit of hot sauce is perfect.
So good.
Morgan, this is absolutely delicious. Thank you for showing me how to make it.
Well, thank you for cooking with me.
So if you want to make this classic low country dish, start by making a broth with ham hocks. Simmer the stew uncovered to help it thicken, and add the shrimp at the very end. From Cook's Country, a terrific recipe for okra and shrimp stew.
Ooh, I think I got a little ham hock nugget in
Oh, that's the lucky bite. You won the lottery.
Thanks for watching Cook's Country from America's Test Kitchen. So what'd you think?
Leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or just say hi.
Now you can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
Alligator.